Good afternoon, everyone. Today is September 19th. It is a Tuesday, so that means it's AA Day. Like I always say, please, no judgment, no rude comments. If you come in the chat, be kind to one another, and remember it is a AA meeting, and we are respectful to each other, and not everyone that comes into a live stream is an alcoholic. They might just be here to support me, or they may be here to learn things that they could do possibly to help a family or a friend. So please don't go bugging people that are in the chat or in the comments, because like I said, they may not be the alcoholic. So just be mindful of that. I do these meetings because it's a gift that I got for free almost 9 years ago. And so it means a lot to me to be able to do this. And I don't want anyone to feel pressured by being here by someone else that just wants to harass someone. So please don't do that. The people that come here, like I said, are for themselves or to support me, or maybe help a family or friend or a loved one that could be suffering as well. And they would just like to know things that they could possibly do to help that person that they love. So be kind. I'm not feeling the best, so I don't know how long I'm going to be able to read, but I'm not missing AA because I got a cold, so I'm doing okay. I started taking a full dose of the, I'm not affiliated or sponsored by them, but Chantix to quit smoking. So I started a whole pill today, and I take it twice a day, so hopefully I can do my target quit date, which is October 1st. It'll be a month and 14 days before my sobriety date. So hopefully. So anyways, I'm Sandra, and I'm an alcoholic. And I'm going to say this Serenity prayer and get going. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. If you have a book or if you have an app on your phone for daily reflections, some of the daily reflection apps have the books on them, so you can read along from there, or you can just listen. I never read it anyways, so and if you're new here, welcome. If you're an old timer, welcome. I'm glad to have you all here. If you're watching the replay, thank you for watching the replays. I hope it helps you or a family or a friend who may be struggling with addiction or alcoholism. Um, so that is what I'm striving for. I can do this for free, and I'm more than happy to because I got it for free. But in the front of your 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book is the content. That is where I get the steps and the traditions. I don't read the traditions because that's more reading, but I do read the steps. Well, kind of. I cite them, you know, with only looking at the first couple letters or words. So here we go. Here's steps. Step 1, we admitted we are powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to another human being, the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we're entirely to have God remove all these defective characters. 7, humbly asked Him to move our shortcomings. 8, made a list of all persons we had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. 9, made direct amends wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. I know, not good to smoke when you got a cold. It definitely does not help it. 10, continue. Words are hard today. Continue to take personal inventory of ourselves, and when wrong, promptly admit it. 11, sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. So, seeing as I am a woman, we are on Women Suffer Too. And I'm on page 200. So again, I do, if you're watching the replay, if you go into the more about the video, it is a description of the topic or whatever the video is about. I always put what book I'm reading in the page. And if it is a new part of the book, I also put that in there. So today means I'm starting Women Suffer Too. I put that in the description because that is the chapter that we're reading now, just starting today. And I put the page that we are on. And when I leave off in the middle of a chapter, I do also put in the description the page number that we are picking up on the next meeting. So you know. Okay, so Women Suffer Too. Despite great opportunities, alcohol nearly ended her life. An early member, she spread the word among women in our pioneering period. What was I saying? From far away, as if it a delirium. Hey Mike, can you get me coffee, please? Thank you. Sorry about that. I need some coffee. Coffee during the AA meeting is a must. I heard my own voice calling someone. Dorothy talking of dress shops, of jobs. The words came clear. This sound of my own voice frightened me as it came closer, and suddenly there I was, talking of I knew not what, to someone I'd never seen before. That very moment, abruptly, I stopped speaking. Where was I? I'd wake up in strange rooms before, fully dressed on a bed or a couch. I'd wake up to my own room, in my own room, in or on my own bed, not knowing what hour or day it was, afraid to ask, but this was different. This time I seemed to be already awake, sitting upright in a big easy chair in the middle of an animated conversation with a perfectly strange woman who didn't appear to think it strange. She was chatting on pleasantly and comfortably. Terrified, I looked around. I was in a large, dark, rather poorly furnished room, the living room of a basement flat. Cold chills started chasing up and down my spine. My teeth were chattering. My hands were shaking, so I tucked them under me to keep them from flying away. My fright was real enough, but didn't account for these violent reactions. I knew what they were, all right. A drink would fix them. It must have been a long time since I had my last drink, but I didn't dare ask this stranger for one. I must get out of here. In any case, I must get out of here before I let slip my ab- abysmal ignorance of how I came to be here, and she realized that I was dark, staring mad. I was mad. I must be. The shakes grew worse, and I looked at my watch. 6 o'clock. It had been 1 o'clock when I last remembered looking. I'd been sitting comfortably in a restaurant with Rita, drinking my sixth mar- martini and hoping the waiter would forget about the lunch order, at least long enough for me to have a couple more. I'd rather I'd 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 only had two with her, but I'd managed four in the 15 minutes I'd waited for her. And of course, I'd had the usual uncounted swigs from a bottle as I painfully got up and did my slow, spasmodic dressing. In fact, I had been in very good shape at 1 o'clock, feeling no pain. What could have happened that had been in the center of New York on noisy 42nd Street? This was obviously a quiet residential section. Why had Dorothy brought me here? Who was she? How had I met her? I had no answers, and I dared not ask. She gave me no sign of recognizing anything wrong, but what had I been doing for those lost 5 hours? My brain whirled. I might have done terrible things, and I wouldn't even know it. How I got out of there and walked 5 blocks past Brownstone House, there wasn't a bar in sight, but I found the subway station. The name on it was unfamiliar, and I had to ask the way to Grand Central. It took 3/4 of an hour and 2 changes to get there, back to my starting point. I had been in the remote reaches of Brooklyn. That night I got very drunk, which was usual, but I remembered everything which was very unusual. I remembered going through what my sister assured me was my nightly procedure of trying to find Willie Seabrook's name in the telephone book. I remembered my loud resolution to find him and ask him to help me get into that asylum he had written about. I remembered asserting that I was going to do something about this, that I couldn't go on. I remembered looking longingly at the window as an easier solution and shuddered at the memory of that other window 3 years before and the 6 agonizing months in a London hospital ward. I remembered filling the peroxide bottle in my medicine chest with gin in case my sister found the bottle I hid under the mattress. And I remembered the creeping horror of the interminable night in which I slept for short spells and woke dripping with cold sweat and shaken with utter despair, to drink hastily from my copper. Sorry, guys. Copper! No! Hastily from my bottle and mercifully passed out again. You're mad! You're mad! You're mad! Pounded through my brain with each returning ray of consciousness, and I drowned the refrain with drink. That went on for 2 more months before I landed in a hospital and started my slow fight back to normalcy. It had been going on like that for over a year. I was 32 years old. When I look back on that last horrible year of constant drinking, I wonder how I survived it, either physically or mentally, for there were, of course, periods of clear realization of what I had become, attended by memories of what I had been, what I had expected to be, and the contrast was pretty shattering. Sitting in a Second Avenue bar accepting drinks from anyone who offered after my small stake was gone, or sitting at home alone with the inevitable glass in my hand. I would remember and remembering, I would drink faster, seeking speedy oblivion. It was hard to reconcile this ghostly present with the simple fact of the past. It's hot. tongue. My family had money. I had never known denial of any material desire. The best boarding schools and a finishing school in Europe had fitted me for the conversational role of debutant and young matron. The times in which I grew up, the prohibition era immortalized by Scott Fitzgerald and John Hill Jr., had taught me to be gay with the gayest. In other words, happy. That's what that means back in those days. It meant happy. So I'm not being rude about LGBTQ. I hope I spelled that right and didn't butcher it. Anyways, my own inner urges led me to outdo them all. The year after coming out, I married. So far, so good. All according to plan, like thousands of others. But then the story became my own. My husband was an alcoholic, and since I had only contempt for those without my own amazing capacity to outcome was inevitable, my divorce coincided with my father's bankruptcy, and I went to work casting off all allegiance. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that word. And responsibilities to anyone other than myself. For me, work was only a different means to the same end, to be able to do exactly what I wanted to do. For the next 10 years, I did just that. For greater freedom and excitement, I went abroad to live. I had my own business successful enough for me to indulge most of my desires. I met all the people I wanted to meet. I saw all the places I wanted to see. I did all the things I wanted to do. I was increasingly miserable. Headstrong and willful, I rushed from pleasure to pleasure and found the returns diminishing to the finishing point or vanishing point. Sorry. Hungover began to assume monstrous proportions, and the morning drink became an urgent necessity. Blanks were more frequent, and I seldom knew how I got home. When my friends suggested that I was drinking too much, they were no longer my friends. I moved from group to group, then from place to place, and went on drinking with a creeping instantaneousness in drink had become more important than anything else. It no longer gave me pleasure. It merely dulled the pain, and I had to have it. I was bitterly unhappy. No doubt I had been an exile too long. I should go home to America. I did, and to my surprise, my drinking grew worse. When I entered a sanitarium for prolonged and intensive psychiatric treatment, I was convinced that I was having a serious mental breakdown. I wanted help, and I tried to cooperate. As the treatment progressed, I began to get a picture of myself, of the temperament that had caused me so much trouble. I had been hypersensitive, shy, idealistic. My inability to accept the harsh realities of life had resulted in a delusioned cyn- cynic clothed in a protective armor against the world's misunderstanding. That armor had turned into prison walls, locking me in loneliness and fear. All I had left was an iron determination to live my own life in spite of the alien word. And here I was, an inwardly frightened, outwardly defiant woman who desperately needed a prop to keep going. Alcohol was that prop, and I didn't see how I could live without it. When my doctor told me I should never touch a drink again, I couldn't afford to believe him. I had to persist in my attempts to get straightened out enough straightened out enough to be able to use the drinks I needed without their turning on me. Besides, how could he understand? He wasn't a drinking man. He didn't know what I was to need a drink, nor what a drink could do for one in a pinch. I wanted to live, not in a desert, but in a normal world. And my idea of world was being among people who drank. Keto tolerers were not included, and I was sure that I couldn't be with people who drank. Without drinking, in that I was correct. I couldn't be comfortable with any kind of people without drinking. I never had been. Naturally, in spite of my good intentions, in spite of my protected life behind sanitarium walls, I several times got drunk and was astounded and badly shaken. That was the point at which my doctor gave me the book Alcoholics Anonymous to read. The first chapters were the revelations to me. I wasn't the only person in the world who felt and behaved like this. I wasn't mad or vicious. I was a sick person. I was suffering from an actual disease that had a name and symptoms like diabetes or cancer or TB. And the disease was respectable, not a normal stigma. But then I hit a snag. I couldn't stomach religion, and I didn't like the mention of God or any of other capital letters. If that was the way out, it wasn't for me. I was intellectual and I needed an intellectual answer, emotion, not an emotional one. I told my doctor, so in no uncertain terms, I wanted to learn to stand on my own feet, not to change one prop for another. And an intangible and dubious one at that, and so on and on. For several weeks, while I grudgingly plowed through some more of the offending book and felt more and more hopeless about myself, then the miracle happened to me. Let me find my spot. Okay. It wasn't always so sudden with everyone, but I ran into a personal crisis that filled me with a raging and righteous anger. And as I fumed helplessly and planned to get good and drunk and show them, my eye caught a sentence in the book lying open on my bed. We cannot live with anger. The walls crumbled and the light streamed in. I wasn't trapped. I wasn't helpless. I was free, and I didn't have to drink to show them. This wasn't religion, this was freedom. Freedom from anger and fear, freedom to know happiness, and freedom to know love. I went to a meeting to see for myself this group of freaks or bums who had done this thing. To go into a gathering of people was the sort of thing that all my life, from the first time I left my private world of books and dreams to meet the real world of people and parties and jobs, had left me feeling an uncomfortable outsider, needing the warming stimulus of drinks to join in. I went trembling into a house in Brooklyn filled with strangers, and I found I had come home at last to my own kind. There is another meaning for a Hebrew word that in the King James Version of the Bible is translated salvation. It is to come home. I had found my salvation. It wasn't any or it I wasn't alone anymore. That was the beginning of a new life, a fuller life, a happier life than I had ever known or believed possible. I have found friends, understanding friends, who often knew what I was thinking and feeling better than I knew myself, and who didn't allow me to retreat into my prison of loneliness and fear over a fancied slight or hurt. Talking things over with them, great floods of enlightenment showed me myself as I really was, and I was like them. We all had hundreds of character traits, fears, and phobias, likes and dislikes in common. Suddenly I could accept myself, fault and all, as I was. For weren't we all like that and accepting? I felt a new inner comfort and the willingness to strengthen and strength to do something about the traits I couldn't live with. I didn't stop there. They knew what to do about those black abyss that yawned, ready to swallow me when I felt depressed or nervous. There was a concrete program designed to secure the greatest possible inner security for us long-time escapists. The feeling of impending disaster that had haunted me for years began to dissolve as I put into practice more and more of the 12 steps. It worked. An active member of AA since 1939, I feel myself as useful member of the human race at last. I have something to contribute to humanity, sorry. Since I am peculiarly qualified as a fellow sufferer to give aid and comfort to those who have stumbled and fallen over this business of meeting life. I get my greatest thrill of accomplishment from the knowledge that I have played a part in the new happiness achieved by countless others like myself. The fact that I can work again and earn my living is important, but secondary. I believe that my once overweening self will has finally found its proper place, for I can say many times daily, Thy will be done, not mine, and I mean it. I was 31. I was 31 when I started drinking, not 32. And I had fought my whole 31 years to not be that alcoholic. I didn't want to be the alcoholic. My birth father was an alcoholic. He died an alcoholic. He never got free from it. Just like he never admitted his wrongs. He never made amends. I treated my kids, my husband, my friends, my family, I treated them like crap. When I was drinking, it was me, 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 me. I need more. I need more. And I couldn't get out of it. I think I spent 4 years, give or take, drinking. I quit drinking before for a year. I did it on my own. I didn't have the support of AA. I didn't have any meetings. I didn't talk to people about being an alcoholic. I didn't do that. I just went on it by myself. And then a year went. After that year, I was like, oh, I'm going to get me a drink. I got a drink, put it in my refrigerator, it sat there for a couple months. I drank it. And believe me, it didn't take long for me to go right back where I had just come from. And yes, I'm counting that as part of my 4 or 5 years, give or take, of drinking. I am very lucky. I had a friend. I have a friend because he is still my friend. I consider him one of my best friends. We started chatting. I hadn't seen him since I was 16 years old. And he says, meet me at an AA meeting. Like, okay. All right, I'll do that. I'll meet you. I was already sober for like 8 months, I think. Maybe it was only 60 days or 90 days, somewhere in there, 6 months, something. And so I went. I didn't stay for the whole meetings because I was I've been shy my whole life, except for when I was drinking. When I was drinking, I could go out there and be social, just like this. Um, I only blacked out once, and that was when I hit my face on the stove. And I didn't leave my house when that blackout happened. Thank God, because I don't know what would have happened. But when I started going to AA, I knew that there was other alcoholics because, after all, my father's side, my birth father's side, is a bunch of alcoholics, and so I knew that that was a possibility my whole life, and so it took me quite a while to finally admit to myself that I was an alcoholic, and now I don't have no problem saying that I'm a recovering alcoholic because that's what I am for the rest of my life. Get out of there. Get out of there. The dog's being naughty. You better lay down right now. Get up here and lay down. But anyway, so um, I started going to AA and I started hearing other people's stories. Hello, Crystal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for dropping by. Um, but I'm coming up on 9 years in November. And I have to say, I would not be here sober for 9 years had it not been for AA. I'm pretty sure that I would have already gone back out there and been stupid and done stupid stuff. Who knows if I'd even be alive right now? I don't know. But I am today, and I'm proud to say I'm sober. And the alcohol is not for me anymore. I don't crave it. I don't want it. I don't think about it anymore. I go down the beer aisle, I go down the liquor aisle. I can be at my parents' house with the whiskey on the counter. My go to drink was that whiskey. I don't even think about it. It works to have other people that are, you know, the same. We have the same things, same struggles, fear, anxiety, depression, all of it. It all contributes to alcoholism. And even being just, oh, well, I got to drink to be social. That is an alcoholic. You know, just because somebody else is drinking doesn't mean you need to drink. And you can't expect anyone else to hold you accountable for your actions. You need to hold yourself accountable for your actions. And so, one thing that also helps me to stay sober is the thought of having to start over. I do not want to have to start over. Never. I would rather just stay sober than to think about having to start all over. Starting over isn't an option for me. Staying is. So, I mean, these books have so much information in them about the struggles that we have, even on just a regular basis, not even being drinking. I still have my name calling and acting like an ass sometimes. But these books and the people in the meetings have helped me so much. I would have never thought this, what I'm doing now, would be what I am doing now without AA. I would not be trying to pass the message out. And yes, I have helped someone who does not believe in God. That is up to you. I'm not here to judge you on your religious beliefs, your orientation, your race, none of it. I am not here to judge you for anything, for absolutely nothing. That is not for me to do. But what I will do is say, I hope this helps. Whether you're helping a friend or a family member or some just want to have some knowledge in case if you run into somebody that needs someone to talk to, because sometimes you just run into an alcoholic. I know I do. Recovering alcoholics too. Yeah, that's why I'm doing this, is because I can. It's free for me to give. It is free. A very good free gift that I can give. And that's why I'm not religious. I'm just me. I'm a regular old human being. Just happens I'm a recovering alcoholic. So that doesn't make me any more of a person or any less of a person. That is just me. I'm a recovering alcoholic and I will forever be. And I have to always remind myself that. Because when life gets hard, you never know if that's going to creep up. And so I always remind myself I am a recovering alcoholic. And I do it with pride because I am. I'm proud of how far I've come. I'm proud of how far the people have come that I have helped. I'm proud to be doing this right now, to be able to pass it to you, to be able to possibly help you or help you help someone. You never know when somebody might just need a hello, a smile, a tip of a hat. Being kind should be easy to give. And I'm blessed to be able to give this to you. It just works. Eventually, if you're a newcomer, you will come to that aha moment. One of the people that I helped, the one I just said that doesn't believe in God, once I told her, you don't have to believe in God. It's just a higher power. Anything you want it to be. It could be a bug. That could be your higher power. Just think of a higher power and give it to that higher power. The thing that you are struggling with today, give it to that higher power. And like it says right here in the last one, say it several times a day if you have to. Thy will be done, not mine. And mean it, because that's the truth. Thy will be done. And others say saying the serenity prayer helps. It does. Take a deep breath when you're in that bad state of mind. And you're about to lose your shit. Yeah, I swear. You're about to lose your shit. Just say the serenity prayer. You get mad at someone. Say a prayer. Lord, tell them it is your will and not their own. It works. It makes me feel better. And believe me, when I know I gotta do that, I always do it arguing with myself or my sponsor, because that's one thing of my sponsor always says. Say a prayer for them. All the time is what she says. The whole 8 years I've been sober, she has said that to me. And I do it. And I've helped three more people just from people that I have met. Um, they come, they're getting sober, and I'm happy. It makes me happy. It makes me know that I'm helping someone. I help my sister. I'm trying to help another family member. Just hope she gets it. Just hope she gets it. I really do. I really hope she gets it. And I hope she knows that I love her. And I don't judge her. I've been there. It's not easy. But it gets easier the more days you get. It definitely does get easier. I promise that. Promise that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get onto my app, which is a daily reflection. And so 8 years, 10 months, 4 days, or 3,230 days sober. Let me get a sip of my coffee real quick before I read this. And please subscribe, leave a comment if you'd like, hit the uh, thumbs up, and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of next videos. Okay, says September 19th, acceptance. We admitted we couldn't lick alcohol with our own remaining resources, and so we accepted the further fact that dependence upon a higher power, if only our AA group, and that's in parentheses, could do this hitherto impossible job. The moment we were able to accept these facts fully, our release from the alcohol compulsion had begun. And this is as Bill sees it on page 109. Freedom came to me only with my acceptance that I could turn my will and my life over to the care of God, of my higher power, whom I call God. Serenity seeped into the chaos of my life when I accepted that what I was going through was life, and that God would help me through my difficulties, and much more as well. Since then, He has helped Sorry, I lost my spot. When I accepted situations, oh no, I gotta go back a little further. I accepted that what I was going through was life and that God would help me through my difficulties as much more as well. Since this since then, he has helped me through all of my difficulties when I accept situations as they are, not as I wish them to be. Then I can begin to grow and have serenity and peace of mind. Hello, KD. Just ending the AA meeting. Um, I've been on for almost an hour. So, um, let's say the Serenity Prayer, and um, I will see you guys again. Um, I'm doing a live stream tomorrow morning for my adventures, and then I go live again Saturday for AA meeting, and I hope to see you all there. So, let's say the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Keep coming back. It works if you work it. I love you guys. Be safe out there. Be kind. Love y'all.